Before the household wakes, before the visible work begins, Amish women follow private morning rituals they never discuss publicly. These aren't the chores outsiders see, but intimate habits involving prayer, body care, mental preparation, and personal practices. These 10 hidden morning habits reveal the unseen foundation of their day. The pre-dawn prayer. At 4 a.m., a full 30 minutes before the household officially wakes, an Amish woman rises in complete darkness. This isn't the family devotion that will come later. This is something far more private. She kneels beside her bed while her husband sleeps and prays alone. These prayers are raw, honest conversations with God about things she would never voice aloud. She prays for strength to face another exhausting day. She asks for patience with children. She confesses failures from yesterday. She begs for wisdom in managing her household. This prayer time is so private that even her husband doesn't know it happens. The darkness is intentional, removing all distractions and forcing pure spiritual focus. Some women pray for 5 minutes, others for 20. The duration varies, but the practice is consistent. Before you can serve others, you must first connect with the divine source of strength. Face washing ritual asterisk. After prayer, the Amish woman makes her way to the basin of water prepared the night before. In winter, a thin layer of ice might have formed on the surface. She doesn't heat the water. She simply breaks any ice and washes her face with cold water and simple soap. The shock of cold water jolts her awake more effectively than any alarm clock. This isn't comfortable, but that's partly the point. The discomfort serves as spiritual discipline, a reminder that the day ahead won't be comfortable either. Traditional Amish belief holds that cold water awakens not just the body, but the spirit. Hot water is seen as weakening and promoting laziness. Cold water builds character and maintains proper humility. The face washing follows a specific pattern passed from mothers to daughters for generations. Hair preparation and covering. Perhaps no morning habit is more private than the hair ritual. An Amish woman's hair is never seen by anyone except her husband, and even he sees it rarely. The hair represents femininity and potential vanity that must be carefully controlled and hidden. Each morning in darkness, the woman unbraids her night plait and lets her hair fall loose. She runs her fingers through it, working out tangles. Then she takes up her brush and begins the daily brushing ritual. Some women learn to brush exactly 100 strokes each morning. After brushing, the hair must be controlled and covered. Married women typically twist the hair into a bun, securing it with pins. The prayer covering goes on last, pinned carefully to ensure it doesn't slip during work. By the time she leaves her bedroom, every strand of hair is hidden, the transformation from private woman to public Amish wife complete. Task ordering. The Amish woman spends several minutes standing in the dark kitchen, mentally organizing the overwhelming workload ahead. This invisible mental labor happens entirely internally, yet it's absolutely essential for the seemingly effortless household management that outsiders observe. She runs through the task list mentally. Bread dough must be started within 30 minutes. Laundry needs to begin early. The garden requires weeding. Children need breakfast and school preparation. Husband needs substantial breakfast and packed lunch. The chicken coop needs cleaning. Pickles must be made before cucumbers over-ripen. She categorizes tasks by urgency and timing dependencies. She identifies which work can be delegated to daughters. She anticipates interruptions and plans around them. This mental planning involves sophisticated project management skills developed over decades. Everything exists in her memory, updated constantly, adjusted minute by minute as the day unfolds. The gratitude inventory. Before the demands and frustrations can take hold, many Amish women practice a deliberate gratitude inventory, mentally listing things they're thankful for. This isn't performative gratitude expressed during family prayers. This is private, authentic acknowledgement of good things. Standing in the dark kitchen, she thinks, "My children are healthy. My husband provides steady income. The garden produced abundantly. The community helped when we needed repairs." We have shelter, warmth, and food. This mental discipline of deliberately focusing on the positive requires training and practice. The natural human tendency leans toward noticing what's wrong. Contentment must be cultivated intentionally, especially in lives of genuine hardship. The gratitude practice isn't denial of real struggles, but rather deliberate balancing of perspective. Teaching daughters this practice happens through modeling. Girls observe mothers maintaining positive attitudes despite exhaustion. They hear mothers redirecting complaints toward thankfulness. The body maintenance rituals, the personal hygiene practices that Amish women follow each morning remain absolutely private, never discussed with outsiders. Extreme modesty extends to basic body care, creating practices that differ dramatically from modern routines. Bathing schedules follow patterns established by water scarcity. Full baths happen weekly rather than daily. Between full baths, women wash critical areas at the basin using minimal water and simple soap. This morning, washing happens quickly, efficiently, with no mirrors. Managing menstruation without disposable products requires practices passed from mothers to daughters in whispered instruction. Reusable cloth pads must be washed, dried discreetly, and stored. This adds significant work to already overwhelming household labor, but it's work that never gets acknowledged. Pregnant women continue full household duties with no accommodation for morning sickness or fatigue. The cultural expectation is that pregnancy is normal, not an illness requiring special treatment. The wardrobe inspection and repair. Each morning before dawn, the Amish woman mentally inventories her family's clothing needs. She knows by memory what clean clothes each child has available, what items need washing, what repairs are pending. This invisible clothing management ensures everyone leaves the house properly dressed. She checks her own appearance with particular care, running her hands over her dress in darkness to ensure everything is properly positioned. The dress must be long enough, sleeves must cover arms completely, neckline must be high. The prayer covering must sit at the proper angle with all hair tucked underneath. This careful self-inspection isn't vanity, but defense against community judgment. Other women watch constantly for violations of dress standards. A covering positioned incorrectly brings swift correction and damaged reputation. Appearance becomes the visible marker of inner submission to community standards. The bread starter feeding. One of the first tasks many Amish women complete is feeding their sourdough starter, a living organism requiring daily care. This isn't optional, but an every single morning responsibility. The starter, often inherited from mother or grandmother, represents connection to past generations. The ritual of feeding follows the same pattern every morning. Remove the starter, add measured amounts of flour and water, stir thoroughly with a wooden spoon, and return it to its spot near the warm stove. Some women admit privately to speaking quietly to their starter while stirring, treating it as a living member of the household. New brides receive starter from mothers or mothers-in-law, a symbolic passing of household responsibility. The starter represents continuity across generations. The same yeast culture that leavened bread for grandmother now producing bread for granddaughter's children. The secret skin and hand care. The toll that constant manual labor takes on Amish women's hands is severe and permanent. Hands submerged repeatedly in cold water for washing, wringing, and cleaning develop cracks and roughness that never fully heal. Kneading bread strains joints and builds calluses. Garden work creates cuts and embedded dirt. The combination of water exposure, physical labor, and minimal moisturizing creates hands that look decades older than the woman's actual age. By 35, many Amish women have hands that could belong to 60-year-olds, the damage visible evidence of years of unprotected manual work. In the privacy of pre-dawn morning, some women apply homemade salves to their damaged hands. These treatments, created from animal fats and herbs, provide minimal relief but represent the only hand care many women allow themselves. The application happens quickly and secretly because even this basic self-care risks appearing vain. The cultural prohibition against focusing on appearance extends to basic hand protection, creating internal conflict between acknowledging pain and maintaining proper humility. The dilemma women face is genuine. Hands hurt constantly from damage and dryness. Cracks bleed and become infected. Joint pain makes simple tasks difficult. Yet complaining about these conditions or taking extensive measures to prevent them seems to contradict the acceptance of suffering that's expected. Women must find balance between necessary care and forbidden vanity, between protecting their working hands and not appearing to prioritize personal comfort over duty. Face care follows similar patterns of minimal attention constrained by modesty concerns. Women protect skin from sun and weather with simple bonnets and clothing rather than sunscreen or other products. They use basic natural preparations, if anything at all. The signs of premature aging, deep wrinkles, sun damage, rough skin get accepted as inevitable. No anti-aging efforts occur because maintaining youthful appearance isn't the goal. Beauty itself becomes suspect, potentially leading to pride or attracting inappropriate attention. Teaching daughters to accept aging and physical deterioration without fighting, it begins in childhood. Girls observe their mother's worn hands and weathered faces without hearing complaint or seeing prevention efforts. They learn that a woman's worth has nothing to do with her appearance, that beauty is at best irrelevant and at worst dangerous. This conditioning prepares them for their own future physical deterioration from decades of manual labor, helping them accept what cannot be changed while rejecting the vanity of trying to preserve what God intends to age. The mourning anxiety management. What outsiders never see is the private emotional work that happens in darkness before the household wakes. Many Amish women experience significant anxiety about the day ahead, the overwhelming workload, the impossibility of completing everything, the fear of failing their families. But this anxiety cannot be expressed openly because it would suggest lack of faith or inability to accept God's plan. So women develop private methods for managing fear and stress that no one else knows about. The anxiety is real and justified. The workload is genuinely overwhelming. The expectations are impossibly high. The consequences of failure feel catastrophic. Hungry family, disappointed husband, judgment from community, shame of incompetence. A woman standing in her dark kitchen at 4:15 a.m., contemplating the 16 hours of work ahead, might feel her chest tighten and her breathing become shallow. The panic rises. How can I possibly do all of this? I'm so tired already. I can't keep going like this. The management techniques she's developed over years of private struggle kick in automatically. Deep breathing, learned not from therapy or meditation apps, but from sheer necessity. Scripture verses memorized and repeated internally. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Self-talk that redirects catastrophic thinking. I felt this way before and I got through it. Today will be the same. Just do the next thing, then the next. Prayer for supernatural strength because human resources feel completely depleted. Some mornings the anxiety wins. Tears come, silent and hidden in the darkness. She allows herself a few minutes of private breakdown, crying for the exhaustion that never resolves, the choices she'll never have, the life that sometimes feels like prison despite her faith telling her it's blessing. Then she wipes her face roughly, takes deep breaths, and composes herself before anyone wakes. No evidence of the crying can remain. Weakness must be hidden. The capable, strong woman everyone depends on cannot show cracks in her facade. The mental health challenges that Amish women face receive no acknowledgement or treatment. Depression, anxiety, disorders, and burnout exist but cannot be named or addressed. There's no therapy, no medication, no professional help available, even if it were culturally acceptable to seek it, which it isn't. Women rely entirely on faith, prayer, endurance, and private coping mechanisms developed through trial and error. The strength required to continue despite untreated mental health struggles is remarkable, though whether this strength is virtue or tragedy remains open to interpretation. These hidden mourning habits reveal dimensions of Amish women's lives that remain invisible to outsiders. Before the visible work begins, these women engage in private rituals of spiritual preparation, physical maintenance, mental organization, and emotional management. The foundation for the seemingly tireless work gets laid in darkness, alone, through disciplines practiced daily for decades. The strength Amish women display isn't natural or effortless. It's built through deliberate morning practices that connect them to spiritual resources, that organize overwhelming complexity, that transform damaged bodies into functional tools, that suppress anxiety through sheer will combined with faith. The privacy surrounding these practices reflects cultural values about modesty and humility. But it also creates isolation. With women managing physical pain and emotional struggles alone, the silence means each woman feels she alone struggles. She alone cries in darkness.